2024 season is in the books, and we are on to 2025. But that doesn't mean we can't look in the rearview mirror, find out a few things that we learned along the way, and apply them to our process going forward. Hey, I'm Ty. This is the All Gas Trade Show, and we are back for 2025. Let's get it.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
We're back. Welcome on in to another edition of the All Gas Trade Show. I'm Ty at TyDeclare44. That's Gabe at iGabe_FF on X. And we're back. Gabe, we made it to another year, made it through the season. How are you doing, my friend? It's been a hot minute since we've been on the mic.
Dude, it's been a long time. I feel like I haven't talked to you since last year. I mean, no pun intended, right? No,
sure.
No, man, doing great, buddy. It's finally great to jump back on here with you. It's starting to get a little bit cold here in Texas, so bundling up right now, but ready to talk some fantasy football with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Well, welcome to the cold. The cold never bothered me anyway, Gabe, so happy that you're getting to experience that. But yes, we're back, man. We are into the off-season mode. We're through the fantasy playoffs, so I just wanted to start before we get into anything. Obviously, we are kind of gearing up to what's happening with Gabe and I going forward, where we aim, and where can you find us. So we're going to be here every week, trade show. If we're not here, we're probably out doing something fun. But we'll be here, regular scheduled programming, doing the trade show. But if you want some more of us, we're going to be over in the DD Fantasy Football Discord. So couple things we're going on. One, Gabe and I are going to be doing some semi-regular roster reviews live on stages for DD GOAT or Heisman members. So if you aren't a part of the squad, head on over to ddfantasyfootball.com. You can use code TRADEGOAT, get into the GOAT tier, get 50% off your first month at sign up. You can also use code TRADES and get into the all conference and Discord tier. Again, 50% off on your first month with code TRADES. So get in there. You have a chance of getting a roster review from us live on stages. It'll be fun. We'll hop in there, chill around.
Banter
also,
a little bit.
A little bit of banter, a little touch of humor. Makes the world go around. We're also going to be doing the All Gas Dynasty League, Gabe.
Man.
You were the one that kind of brainchild this along with some of the people at DD. So why don't you let the people know kind of what we're thinking of doing, and we'll talk more from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to Shane Says. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him, but we were actually sitting there brainstorming a little bit, and he thought it would be a great idea to have a all gas trade show, right? We review trades periodically all the time on this show. And so what we wanted to do was essentially create a dynasty league with some of the most active members, some of the guys that send in trades week in and week out, because we love our dynasty leagues to be very active, right? And so that's something that we were definitely looking forward to. And so whenever he pitched the idea, it kind of made sense. And basically what we're going to be doing is we want you guys, the fans, right? The squad here, we want you guys to kind of get involved with us and join us in this league. And we'll definitely be reviewing all the trades specifically to that league, just that way we can kind of have a good progression. That way you guys can follow along to see what moves we've been making. And so, yeah, I mean, we haven't decided as far as settings go, but I know it's going to be a little bit of a bigger league. That way we can kind of get a lot of the members in the squad. And so if you haven't been a part of any 2-copy, maybe even a 3-copy tie, if we can get as many people, get that many people, man, you might want to head on over so you can join us for it.
Yep. No, it's going to be a fun time. Like I said, we're going to make some fun scoring, something different, and get as many people in there as we can. So there may or may not be some chances to get into that league. There may or may not be some giveaways in the Discord. To find that all out, go on, sign up, ddfantasyfootball.com, trade goats, or trade goat or trades. Use those codes at sign up. And Gabe, finally,
Sure.
It is
the moment we've been waiting for.
Yes. It is 2025. So we are trying to learn. Us and every other fantasy football content creator on YouTube right now is reviewing 2024, whether it be things that, trades they regret or things they learned. So we might as well follow suit because we made a hell of a lot of trades. Funny enough, some of the trades that we went back and forth on of our biggest regrets were with each other, obviously. So We're going to break down some of the things that we learned. We're going to try to give as much context as we can. We have a couple of examples from the community as well of things that they learned and some trades that they're not so happy about. But hey, Gabe, you know what? We can't hide in shame about some trades that happened in the past. You can't hold on to that stuff. You can't stop that from making another deal or keeping with your process. You got to learn and move on. So everyone, deep breath in, deep breath out. Let's move on. So Gabe, in the spirit of moving on, what the hell were we thinking? No, I'm kidding. So Dynasty Degenerates, do you know the league format here? Do you want to kind of just give us the intro of what this one was and take it from there?
Yeah, so this is going to be a lineup league specifically. It is going to be, I believe it's a little bit deeper, either 12 or 13 starters. There are points per carry. And so full point PPR, I want to say there might be a couple of big play bonuses here and there for wide receivers or for, receivers in general. And so it's, other than that, it's kind of pretty vanilla for the most part. I would say it's a super flex league, of course. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to send this one in, man, specifically to kind of talk about, and it's very interesting. Okay, so in this league specifically, I was the number 1 seed, and I was starting to, how could I say this? Like, I was getting into that point where it's kind of like, oh, RBs don't really matter. I need to make a pivot. This was back in January, right, of 2024, and so I'm sitting there like, RBs don't really matter. AJ Brown's a hammer. Saquon, we just don't know. Well, Ty, we found out.
We effed around and we found out
what he is. Yes. So yeah, I mean, at the time, I felt like I was kind of giving up replacement level value with Jordan Addison. I mean, he was a guy, like he was just a guy, and then Saquon, I was like, give me the hammer wide receiver. I want the wide receiver over the running back. And so, yeah, man, fast forward to this year, I actually played this guy, Flash, in the semis, I believe. And needless to say, I did not win a championship. And so I think Saquon Barkley was actually my demise. Yeah. So just a little lesson that sometimes specifically you don't know, man, who's going to win some of these deals until a lot later on in life. I mean, at the end of the day, it may not look great right now. Fast forward a little bit later and it looks amazing. So yeah, as you guys can see, though, I definitely traded AJ Brown quite a bit in this league. And so if you guys, some of you have never been in a league with me, but I trade a lot. Sometimes a little too much. Ty sometimes will tell me to put the phone down, as you guys have heard us reference a couple times. But yeah, man. Oh, I don't know, Ty. What are you thinking, man? Let me have it here.
I mean, again, like it was January, like basically a year ago, right? So
yep.
All the vets were down. Saquon was still on the Giants at that point, right?
I believe so.
Addison was, the rookie hype that never truly panned out at that point, likely, right? I know that's on our trade shows throughout the season. We mentioned Addison, and people told us we were too low on Addison, and hell, the playoff stretch from Addison probably told them that they were right. Mm-hmm. But I think you made a good point there, right? Like we don't know. We just don't know. And while I want to play with conviction, when we're not in the point scoring season, I don't have a real reason to move one way or the other, unless I'm truly like, this is a smash. This is something that will move my team forward. This is something that I can freak down the road into something different.
Yep.
I don't just want to consolidate for the sake of consolidating. And, maybe if I was trying to put myself back in January 29th, 2024 shoes, I was definitely still a huge AJ Brown guy. But Barkely, Addison, a third. Yeah, trade away the running back. That's the risk. Addison, he's nice, but he's not
old.
AJ Brown.
He's getting old, Ty. He's getting old. That was the narrative, man.
Yep. Going into the off season, what can I move? Running backs? Nope. So let me get the sexier wide receiver and figure things out. So I can see the mindset, but like you said, at the end of the day, we're playing fantasy football and we're playing for championships. And when you lose in the semis because of a deal you made, essentially, that's pretty tough.
Pain.
you've said, right? Like, you make plenty of deals. You're a volume trader, so one trade is not going to sink the ship. No. And yeah, again, we can follow the bouncing ball here and see how many times you moved AJ Brown for a profit, and it was very nice to watch. I'm actually curious. Do you remember what that 2023 first round pick was? Like where that
it was,
slotted in?
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. I think it was 105, 106, I believe, somewhere around there. Like, it was a good like mid to earlier first, not early, but an earlier first. 104, 106, somewhere around there. Okay,
gotcha. Yeah, and then you traded away Jacobs and Brown, but you got Chase, Sharps, and a third. So, yeah, kind of a very similar deal to what you did there, where you're just trading away the running back and the second rate wide receiver for the better wide receiver and something. So, interesting. Yeah, man. I mean, so looking at this, like I could say, if you could go back, what would you do different? But like seeing how it played out. Is there anything else about your process that you're adjusting based on this trade?
Yeah, I think, again, I think the process move was probably the right one at the time, but I do think that's something that I would like to do a little bit differently. And it's kind of twofold, is to let some of these rookies, man, develop, right? Give them a little bit of grace, give them a little bit of time, because we don't know what they're going to become. And I know sometimes, like, we get very short-sighted where it's like, you're not producing for me right now, it's time to go, right? Type of deal. And so I think for me, that's one thing that I've kind of learned about my process. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, like some of these other guys that you're just like, they were supposed to be the next thing. And it's like, just give them a second, like give them some time. I think it's definitely something that really kind of hit home for me. And then another thing too, man, is you don't need to trade your vets in the off season. Like, I know a lot of the times we have that mentality of like, oh, this guy's not going to be worth anything in the off season. He's not going to do anything, or he's too old already. And fast forward, man, this is a great example, like I said, of a deal that both of his players that I traded away got better. And not just marginally better, like significantly better than what they were. And so this one, again, I think, to answer your question, though, it just kind of goes both ways, where it's like, don't be so quick to write off rookies or, really young talent that you do believe in or that you do like, just because they have a down year. And then secondly, sometimes, man, like, don't be so quick to offload the vets for just whatever, because you feel like they're going to go to zero, right? Because a lot of these guys aren't going to go to zero as fast as we make them out to be.
Yeah. The offseason does feel like a good time to practice that patience, right? Yeah. In season, we are flying, we're adjusting, we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, because usually, like, I think Scott Connor referenced it on some of his shows. I believe it was during the roster construction series, like his wrap-up show. The person that can adjust and fill the hole and is willing to make that trade to make it happen is usually the one that can get the championships. It's not the one that says, well, one of my guys is injured, let's pack it and try it again next year. But in the offseason, we don't got to do that. We can take our time. We can let people's process adjust. We can let these picks accumulate value. We can let these vets chill. They earned it. They scored you points all year. Put them on IR, or put them on the bench. Let them go on vacation, right? Well, they'll be there in the point scoring season. The value will come back. So, yeah, maybe it's not a trade you had to do. I still like getting to AJ Brown, but we saw how the results impacted their game.
Yeah. And like I said, man, and I think specifically for this one, real quick, last thing is just January 29th, we were already well into the off season. So I know that this was just a process play for me. If I could put myself back into the January 29th, 2024 mindset, I was just trying to get off the old vet and get off the not so promising rookie who ended up being very promising.
Yeah. Vet plus hopium equals swole Batman, but didn't work out in the aggregate for you. So that's a good one to get us started. And we'll hop back over to the cord here real quick. So, Gabe, we got a league. It's actually, you know what? Screw the cord. Let's go to Dynasty Daddy. We got ourselves a league called Knockout Kings. Okay, so it's a 12 by 12 best ball super flex. It's a 35 total man rosters. Let me see if I can get this. Where can I get? Yes, here we go. Bang, there. 35-man roster, point PPR or tiered PPR. It's a point per carry, up to 2.25 tight end premium. So heavy juice to the tight ends, juice to first downs as well, especially rushing ones. Big play bonuses, accurate quarterback bonuses. A really fun league. Maybe one that we'll, we might base some of our settings for the all gas league based on this league here, Gabe. Yep. Yeah. But, we got some active traders in here. Sam, Gabe, you, me, T, Ben, Gene, Steve-O, Brett. So we got some very active traders in here. But yourself, myself, and Sanford all submitted trades for things that we learned based on this league. So I'll start with T's trade. I think this was the first one that happened. This was right out of the startup. And let me just read. Sure. Let me just read what T said here. So here's one for the show. Let me zoom in for the people here. Okay. So fresh out of the auction, startup was very disciplined and only bought players I felt were of value. That led me leading the auction with what I felt was a team that could compete due to my depth and spike week potential. But I had very questionable quarterbacks. I left the auction with a QB room of JD, Fields, Jones, and 7 backups. While it's gross for best ball, bet your strategy maximizing auction dollars. Your bet was the production gap of Rice to Lockett would be close enough, and the addition of a starting quarterback would be well worth the loss in dynasty value. You waited for the quarterback attrition to kick in. Trying to bet the market, trying to get ahead of it. If you'd remained patient in the offseason, and gave my strategy time to work, I would have been fine and hit on Fields starting for the first 4 games, Andy Dalton weeks 3 through 7, and Jameis week 7 on. Like, you literally could have patchworked that. That's crazy. Can't be too upset. You did win, so congratulations there. Lockett, Rodgers, and Conklin remained on your roster all season. Conklin hit your lineup in the finals. Can't stop from what my team would look like with Rice, what he traded him in season 4. But the big takeaway, don't trade for lineup needs in July. Yes. Also, stick with your startup strategy, especially if you build a unique team in comparison to the league. So, T, right after the auction, I think I had budgeted my money pretty well in that auction and came away with a lot of assets, but I knew right away it's going to be one of those teams where I'm not going to be flexible enough to probably win, adjust, and actually get there. So right out of the auction, I just started selling off vets, selling off pieces, trying to get more flexible. So I sent away Aaron Rodgers, Tyler Lockett, and Conklin, right? The Jets super combo and Lockett. I got back Drew Lock, Rashee Rice, and Jaleel McLaughlin. So, from my perspective, that felt great. Right? Get my wide receiver boy in Kansas City, the one who was never going to play football again because of his speeding incident at that point. Yep. I've been pounding the table that Jaleel is just a good best ball running back to have who will get you a week or 2. I don't want to pay for him, but I'll take him. Yep. And then, Drew Lock. My man, Drew Lock. He gave you the best quarterback one game of his career this year. So yay!
Hey, when you needed it the most, though. When you needed it the most.
Exactly. Man, a 12-by-12 best ball league though, especially when I'm trying to win. I mean, you lock in Rodgers, Lockett, Conklin, 3 starters in July. Gabe, you're feeling great. But yeah, you look back a couple weeks into the season. Look what Rice's value does. He gets hurt, his value stays. Right? You don't usually see that too. So, I mean, looking at this from Sanford's perspective there, Gabe, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think he hit the nail on the head, man. Sometimes, the season doesn't start until September, October, and so, I mean, trying to patch it together in July is probably not the smartest thing to do, right? And to his point, I mean, there's injuries that happen in preseason. There's also injuries that happen during like the practice rounds. And so there's just a lot of uncertainty, I guess, going into it, that it's kind of just nice to stay pat, see where your team is at really once the season kind of rolls around. But I mean, in July, dude, Rodgers was coming back from his ACL. He was supposed to be the truth.
Achilles.
Achilles. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, like, he was supposed to be the truth, right?
Carrying the American flag out, like doing the whole damn thing. Yep.
Yeah. So I understand what Terrell was trying to do at the time. again, obviously fast forward now, it's probably not the best deal, especially with Lockett retiring is what's been teased.
Yeah.
It's been teased a little bit. And so Rodgers, who knows? I mean, it probably won't be with the Jets next year, and who knows if he is in the league next year. But again, I think at the time, this definitely was a deal that would have been fine because, again, Rashee Rice didn't have the dynasty value that he had now because nobody knew what he was going to be in Kansas City, especially with all of his suspensions lingering and everything. And so there was a lot of stink on him at that time. And then Jaleel McLaughlin was just a backup. Like, he was just Javonte was going to be the guy, like everybody, and so there was a lot of uncertainty, if you will, on the side that you were receiving in this trade. So yeah, I mean, this would have made sense in July.
Yep. Actually, I believe Audric Estime was supposed to be the starter in Denver, but no, he wasn't. I'm just kidding. But yeah, and I mean, hey, 12 by 12 best ball, man. Like a quarterback, a tight end, and a wide receiver. Like, you can't really go wrong there. So yeah, July, I don't doubt it, but like you said, it doesn't have to be right in July. And if I can maintain my flexibility, if I can still accumulate value throughout the offseason to have that to patchwork and make it perfect in season, then that's more or less how I want to try to go about it. But yeah, I mean, T, I think you really nailed it on the head, right? Don't trade for lineup needs in July, right? Wait till you get to the point scoring season. And even then, the teams that I had a lot of success on this year, Gabe, were the ones where I just let the first 4 to 5 weeks ride it out and then kind of choose what way I want to go from there. All the while just trying to maintain as much flexibility and trying to get to the best bottom dollar value that I could at times there.
Yep.
And yeah, if you build a unique team, lean into it. Like we saw that with Scott in the Overreaction 5 League. He built a tight end horde, and he didn't just trade them all away once he got out of it. He held that and held it and held it, and then slowly and methodically started to unravel from that as the season went on, not in July. So, dynasty patience, right? We in season, we're flying, like just trying to keep up and do it. But now we can take a breath and be a little more methodical about it. So, anything more on this one, Gabe?
No, I think this one, though, is going to unravel everything else that happened in this particular league with all of us. So it's it's going to be nice to kind of see how everything was intertwined because, again, all of us are in this league together specifically. And so, we'll show you guys.
So the next one in chronological order.
God, please don't show this.
Also in July. So, Gabe, this is your deal here, buddy. So why don't you take us away?
I think the takeaway is don't make trades in July. Just the month of July, just don't make any trades. That's exactly what this means. I mean, dude, I don't know what to say. Like, I look at this trade and I understand what I'm trying to do. Like, I get it. I'm getting an upgrade from Tank Dell to Odunze, or even if we at that time, I mean, Tank Dell was still highly touted, so we could even have said a lateral move, right? But Odunze was obviously highly touted. A lot of people really wanted him. A lot of people thought he was going to be really good, especially once it showed that Caleb Williams went there, and so he had a lot of hype on him. A lot of hype on him. And Jahmyr Gibbs was good, but people were like, man, it's going to be Monty. Like, they're always like, he's right there with him, just nipping at his heels the whole time. And then Gabe sits there and is like, man, Jonathan Brooks, hey, he was pretty good at UT. He was actually pretty good at UT, and so I was like, there's nobody in Carolina. I mean, there was Chuba Hubbard, but I guess I just ignored that fact. So I was like, Jonathan Brooks, he could take over that backfield. I'm getting a first. Let me bet against Terrell here a little bit. And so that is how this deal kind of came about. It was like, let me down tier from Jahmyr Gibbs, who was a highly rated or touted running back at the time. Let me see if I can down tier to Jonathan Brooks, who is also somebody that has a lot of promise. If he comes back from his injury, I'm picking up a first that I can also maneuver, and I'm getting Odunze, which at the time I felt like was an upgrade from Tank Dell, especially with Nico Collins there. And I don't know if Diggs was there at that time just yet.
July, I think he would have been there in July.
Yeah.
I want to say yes.
Maybe. Yeah. And so if that was the case, then that would have even been a bigger reason for me to want to move on. Like, I don't want the wide receiver 3, or it's too crowded of a room. And so, yeah, that's how that deal kind of shaped out back in July. So I agree 100% with Terrell. Again, don't make trades in July, guys. That's the premise of the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, July maybe not the best month for trades. Good startup month though. So let's get all our startups done in July, and then we'll figure it out from there. But yeah, I mean, what kind of hits me here is like the Jonathan Brooks of it all, and because he was propped up as running back 1 of the 2023 class or 2024 class, whatever that means. And sometimes maybe we can extrapolate some of that value outside of the class, right? Well, Jonathan Brooks, he was a first round pick. He was the running back 1 in 2024 league. So he has to be worth at least a first. He has to be a top 12 running back. So I think that should be a nice tear down from Gibbs. So I don't know, do we have to see it first from some of these rookies before we really put that much oomph on their name, Gabe? Like, do we need to pinch ourselves before we try to really assign that kind of value? Like, I'm trying to think of like how we can adjust for Brooks aside from the fact that he had a knee injury and he hurt his knee again, and that's kind of how we feel about it. Because you got less than 0 out of Brooks this year, basically.
And probably next year too. I mean, who knows, right? And I think you're right. I think it's definitely worth noting that sometimes, man, we just have to open our eyes a little bit and not look with blinders on, because I should have really thought about it. Like, man, he had an ACL injury. He's starting to come back. It's his first year in the league. Like, it's probably going to take him a little bit of time to kind of get acclimated to like the NFL, especially like not having practiced as much as normally. And so I feel like I kind of put a little bit of blinders on, to your point, where I'm like, oh, this guy, he's going to overtake this backfield. Like, he's going to be the guy. He was really good at UT. Like, I probably should have pumped the brakes a little bit, to your point, and really just, I know we want to give rookies time to develop, which is what I had just talked about, like Odunze, things like that. But whenever there's glaring signs, Ty, I feel like we need to not be so blind to them. Like, if we know that this guy just got injured, or he's injured going into the into his first NFL season, and there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, we had no faith in Bryce Young going into this season either. So now I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, what was I thinking? Again, there was a lot of red flags I felt like I chose to ignore. And it's probably not the best approach at the time. But yeah, I think just seeing what the NFL teams are telling us, really just being able to pay attention to the news and everything, and just being realistic with ourselves. Like, this guy hasn't played football in many months, especially coming off of his injury. Do I really think he's going to be the bell cow in Carolina as soon as he touches the football field coming back from an ACL in his rookie year? Like, I should have just been more realistic with myself.
I think it comes out of like trying to predict and project that opportunity in July, right? Like, the NFL learned, man, you cannot fade Canadian running backs, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard. Like, they're going to come for you. So maybe next time there's a Canadian in the backfield, we pump the brakes before we just say workhorse Brooks, right? But I mean, Odunze is great. Getting a first is awesome. And, you got a young running back. You gave up Gibbs. Like, there were reasons you did that. And there's more ways you can solve running back, but giving up Gibbs sucks. Tank Dell, like, here today, he has one knee. Last offseason, he had a broken leg. He was coming back from that. He got shot. So there was many things happening with Tank Dell, right? So he's been a bit of a frustrating guy to try to navigate in Dynasty, but I see what you were trying to do. But again, it's the Jonathan Brooks of it all. And how do we, I guess, Gabe, like, in this time of year where, again, we're trying to accumulate some value. We're trying to like build up our wallets here for the upcoming season and get into some younger pieces, pivot around. Are there any other kind of safeguards that you're bringing in to 2025 where what can make you say, put the phone down, Gabe, let's look at this again tomorrow?
Yeah, man. I mean, again, I think whenever you look back specifically, like if this guy's been producing already at a high clip in the NFL, and he's a young rookie, like probably no reason to really move him. Like you probably want to hold on to him a little bit, especially, or if you're going to move on from him, which I'm perfectly fine with doing, just make sure you get into something that's more secure. I really feel like is kind of the big takeaway for me, right? Like you don't want to take, I don't know, and I'm going to just use this example. Like you don't want to take a Bitcoin that you feel like is very secure and throw it into a bunch of meme coins because you feel like you're going to become a millionaire. You know, like you don't want to give up something that looks and is more secure, more stable, and give it up for something that, I mean, pure hopium, really. That's really what it kind of comes down to.
Yeah. Trade away that Bitcoin for the Hawk Tua coin. So, you know,
and you'd be owing some people some money right now.
Yeah, you'd be ass out, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Like expectations and hope can be the killer of dynasty trades and dynasty teams. So, have correct expectations. You know, have that based in reality. But yeah, I mean, a lot of hope on your side of that trade, Gabe. And again, Odunze has that runway. He could have that Addison ascension, like we talked about. Like he had a Keenan Allen problem, and Keenan Allen's going to be another year older. We'll see what that offense looks like with Caleb and everything moving forward. But you know, your side of the trade still could like do something, but I definitely want Gibbs. All things considered.
Yep, 100%.
So really quick from this trade, when Rashee Rice got injured, I had 2 shares. Here, let me bring up the Dynasty.
I was going to say, I did feel a little bit better after after the second part of this trade for sure.
Of course. So here's my team in here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first round picks, a slew of seconds and thirds, right? I have a really, really young team. So I had Rashee Rice. I didn't have to move him, but you know, I was basically saying, listen, if I can get a first for Rice, that should sustain its value. I didn't expect Rice's value to kind of hold as it did, which was, you know, good for him. But so I figured, hey, process move, give me the first, cool. Of course, that first becomes 112. Right?
Wait, so you were trying to play me a little bit? You didn't think Rashee Rice was going to hold his value, and you were trying to ship him away to me?
Excuse you.
Come on.
I, the Chiefs fan, was sending you the Rashee Rice. I mean, I don't know how I'm trying to fleece you, but I don't think process has to be fleecing, you know? But if I can move out of a wide receiver in a 12x12 best ball, that again, let's look at my team. I'm not winning. I have some youth. I have, you know, some sex appeal. I'm not winning with this roster. So if I can move on, start to have more of a stake, I have like almost 50% of stake in the first round in the draft. Like that's where I can start to carve out my advantage. It just sucks that turned into 112, you know, because that's not how you draw it up ideally. And finally, Gabe, all this talk about old Thai guy getting Gabe came back. Oh, what the hell? I'm opening up some code.
You trying to hack my computer over here now too?
Yes, man? Yeah, we're coming in from Canada here. So Gabe, what week was this? October 6th, 26. This is what, week 7, I think, week 6 or 7.
Was it that far?
Yeah, I think I actually wrote it. I actually wrote a whole story here. Yeah, trade was following week 7, so my team was 2-5. I was scoring way too many points to get 101, and clear with my team, I was just trying to take it to the bottom, get as many picks as I can, and figure it out. BTJ just come off a wide receiver 3 week. Worthy had settled into he's not going to be the Rice replacement. It was like, I think it was when Juju Smith-Schuster was the next man up. So I was like, well, if you can't beat out Juju for opportunities, then I mean, you know, at least for year 1, it's probably going to be pretty quiet. Yep. And I figured there's no way CJ Stroud cools down after having, you know, 2 30-point weeks, 1 28-point week, whatever it was, 27-point week. So if I can move off of Josh Allen, because I'm just scoring way too many damn points, if I can pivot down there keep my construction at quarterback, stay within that kind of nice range with CJ, upgrade at wide receiver and get a pick upgrade. Yeah, sure, why not? That makes sense. I couldn't predict that Dell, Diggs, Nico, and they would all miss time, but I should have known that the gap between Josh Allen and CJ Stroud was just too great. For the scoring, for the point per carry, for just how things worked in there. Yeah, the reason I was scoring points is I had the damn nuke, right? And by me trading away Josh Allen, I've now made my job harder. How can I replace that? I have to finagle. I have to do some different things versus just holding on to Josh Allen and figuring out with Xavier Worthy. So, I mean, Gabe, I know looking back on this, I think you moved Josh Allen after this and it was in a subsequent deal, of course. But when we were going through this in October, what were you thinking?
Oh, man. And it's interesting because both Ty and I are at the bottom of this league.
Yes.
And so I don't remember who got the 101 or 102, but we're right there. We're literally right there neck and neck. And so we were pretty much racing for the bottom as fast as we could. But there was a lot of worry, man, out in the community about CJ Stroud and how high we had pumped him up. And there was a lot obviously going on with the team and the injuries and everything. And so it was kind of one of those where I think at the time I had Drake May as my QB2, and I don't think he had started yet, or maybe he had just gotten the start. And so I was of the mindset of like, do I really want to have CJ being my QB1, which is nice, last year, but kind of as we started with this season, it was like, do I really want him to be my QB1? And then having Drake May behind him, I was just like, I don't really know like what to expect from Drake May. Like, I like the guy, but can I trust him type of deal? I really like Brian Thomas Jr. And then Xavier Worthy, man, was just a hope and a prayer at the time. Like, he really was. He was a best ball guy for me. I was just like, he's going to enter my lineup on spike weeks, and I'm getting the hammer and Josh Allen. And so that was really the biggest thing for me, was making this deal. And I felt like the gap from Brian Thomas at the time, I mean, now it's maybe a little bit bigger than what it was back then for sure. But at the time I was like, I'm only paying a second really to kind of upgrade from going from CJ Stroud to Josh Allen. And I feel like that gap is a lot bigger than it is from Brian Thomas Jr. to Xavier Worthy at the time. And then, to your point, I realized that Josh Allen had no reason being on this team. I think I posted a couple of GIFs in the chat, basically saying that he was a Bugatti parked outside of a shack, pretty much. And so I did end up moving him. He really had no business being on my team. But yeah, man, I mean, I think that was pretty much my thought process, like going into it, was just wanting to have a little bit more security, especially because I was trusting a rookie quarterback as my second QB. And if things fell apart there, then all the picks that I had accumulated, I would have lost a little bit of security, and I would have had to have then like forced myself into drafting a quarterback in the class. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people had said this class isn't the best with quarterbacks. So just a little bit of a safeguard for myself, pretty much.
Yeah, no. And Gabe, I've lied to the people. You got 101. So you got 101 that league. I got 102. So the second in the deal, that is 201. So that's nice. That is a nice pick. That's a nice pick. I traded you 302. So, I mean, it's still a nice pick as well. But, I ended up with 102, 105, 109, 111, 112, 201, and 202, and then some other picks. So
that's pretty good.
I got some, but I'll tell you for free though. Like I'll tell you for free. I would rather have Josh Allen. I like how you went from I have CJ Stroud and May. I don't feel great about like that, so let me upgrade. And you gave your problem to me, and I gave my problem to you, and then you still got 101. So that great job from you there. I mean, from my perspective, just the if I'm playing the Delta game, it's a tier down at quarterback, it's a tier up at wide receiver, but some gaps are more meaningful. And the quarterback, especially in best ball, I don't need to have like the hammer quarterback to win, but God, it makes it a lot easier, and it means I can devote less roster space, less assets to it if I can get the right ones in there. So I've created more of a problem for myself. We'll see how I get through it. But having BTJ is nice. Having 201 is nice. Like, it did at least work out in that sense for me. But yeah, I would love to have Josh Allen on this team. That'd be real nice. It'd be real nice.
Hey, he would be a Bugatti parked in a shack on that team too.
Dude, we can just rent out a parking lot, really. We'll just house them together.
There you go.
All right, man. So we got a couple from the community here. Roy G, NFL.
All
He's
right.
made many bad trades, but the one he think about and cry on a daily basis is disgusting monstrosity. Well, come on. It was after week 1, 2 PPR for tight ends, but heck, thought the tight end was a position of weakness and wrongly thought Nabers might have a slow start with that horrendous offense. And the pick turned into 212. So kind of multifaceted here. So Gabe,
Man,
Dalton Kincaid and the 212 for Malik Nabers. So yeah, man, especially in 2.0 tight end premium, we want the tight ends. We really want to make them happen until they don't. And until you realize, like, hell, I could be starting Hunter Henry in a lineup league for tight end and probably still get replacement value, probably score more than Kincaid did this year. Malik Nabers did not have a slow start. And kind of what you talked about before, right, is if you have these rookies, like if you're going to hold these picks throughout the offseason, if you're going to draft these players, have some patience with it, right? Like, don't just pull the ripcord immediately. And I think this happened in, when was this? Week one.
Yeah,
so
week
1 week, and he said, I'm out. Give me Kincaid in the 212. It wasn't the 212 then, but give me that because I need to fill a need. Well, can we fill a need without sending away the player that you probably blew a top 4 pick on in the rookie draft?
I mean, look, this one I feel like is just really unfortunate timing.
Yes.
And I'll say, like, process-wise, Roy, you probably made the right thing. I think to Ty's point, I think we try to make the tight end position happen so bad because it's so depressed, and it just never works out. Like, there's going to be 3 or 4 that absolutely go crazy, but I think we've realized, like, we have no godly idea which 3 or 4 outside of really consistently Kittle. I mean, like, Kittle's been very consistent. I mean, obviously Bowers ascended now too, but hey, Laporta ascended last year, and guess what? You drafted Laporta. You were very sad about what he gave you this year. I mean, everything was here for Roy, man. Diggs left Buffalo. Dalton Kincaid was the next man up, like tethered to Josh Allen. He was supposed to be the next thing. Malik Nabers on the other side. Oh, dude, Daniel Jones is throwing him the ball. Like, he's never gonna amount to anything, at least in the season. And I think process wise, man, in a 2 PPR tight end, I mean premium, it was probably the right decision at the time, Roy. Like, I don't want to give you too much headache because, again, I think process wise, it was probably the right move. You're actually getting a pick 2 on top of it, which was nice. To Ty's point, you did use a top pick to get Malik, but I mean, Kincaid was supposed to be the thing. He was supposed to be the thing.
Yeah, was supposed to be, and you chose the wrong one, unfortunately. Yeah. In listening to the Dynasty Theory guys, they had been pretty vocal about the fact that Buffalo just doesn't use the tight end like that. Josh Allen doesn't use the tight end like that to put that much kind of oomph on the fantasy points. And I mean, Gabe, like you said, year to year, tight end is a coin flip. So, I mean, I know everyone saw Jonnu Smith coming, right? So we should have probably propped him up earlier, and like it's.
Did you expect Bowers to be 101? I mean, come on now.
I didn't expect him to be like this good out the gate, like historically good. I remember hitting myself I think it was probably like in April, like early April. I was like, are we really going to do this with Bowers? Like, is he really is he really going to be that good? Like, is that really what we're doing? And then it was what we were doing. So, yeah, I just think when we put the expectations on guys and just expect it to happen, like I'm thinking Bijan year one, right? If we're expecting historic stuff, we're probably going to be disappointed. So if I'm betting that Kincaid is going to be that dude, and I'm doing it at the expense of someone that I blew a top 4 to 5 pick on, that's probably not the best play, especially like week one. So, I mean, I'm just trying to think in a 2.0, like we play in 2.0, 175, like some pretty nice tight end premiums. I mean, is it one of those positions where if you can get it cheap or you can build around in like the startup, you want to build that way? But from a trade perspective, like, is it more of an in-season move that you're making once you have more information? Is it a position that you're trying to approach differently, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point we're in a startup right now actively, so I can't give you all my secrets, right?
Damn, I thought I was gonna get you. Damn it.
No, but seriously, like I think for me, there's probably only a handful of guys that I really want to invest in. I can tell you right now, I am not investing in Brock Bowers because he is very expensive. If you can get him for a half decent expensive price, sure. But I mean, dude, we're talking Justin Jefferson for Brock Bowers, or like I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. But what, like, the point is, I guess, that I'm trying to make is in a best ball league, Ty, the way that I've kind of approached it, and I'll give it for both lineup and best ball, but for best ball, man, the tight end position, I just want as many darts as I can get at this point. Like, I'm not going to sit there and I don't want to invest solely on one or two guys to just be consistently hitting my lineup, because we've seen it, man. We've been disappointed both ways. And then to that point, on the flip side, like with a lineup league, there's a handful of guys. Trey McBride's probably one of those guys where I'm like, okay, I'm willing to pay a little bit more for him. But otherwise, yeah, I want to take a couple of darts on guys who have been historically good enough. To your point, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith now, just guys that have Zach Ertz. I mean, like, just guys who can crack the lineup and just be good enough that aren't costing me much, because year to year, man, we just don't know at the tight end position.
No. We don't. I think lineup makes it tougher because, again, you have to click start on it. And now, again, like I know, like, shout out to Koopa. Like, he's done research on it. And, like, if you just straight up stream tight end, just pick up anyone off waivers, the delta between what that is and what, investing and do, you can usually just play it off and win elsewhere. In best ball, I do, like, last year I employed the best ball bully tight end strategy in startups, and I actually had a lot of success with it. Like, come down the year, like my main contenders, some of my championship teams were based around that build, so it did work out. And where that does work out, Gabe, is the weeks that Laporta doesn't go off, that's cool because I had Bowers, McBride, and Kittle and Ertz, right? So it's like the volume of guys got me there. But that doesn't mean that I want to spend like in the Roy G example here, right? Like, I don't want to overpay to get that. So if, like you said, if I can find ways to maneuver into it, cool. But even in a 2.0, like, the tight end position is not exactly something that I want to trade with expectations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, even a guy like, that isn't highly that we were super crazy for, if you will, but like Dallas Goedert, for example, like, he was a top 8, 10, 12, somewhere around there, like, tight end. I mean, you were still having to pay for him. Like, he wasn't a guy that was just kind of throwing it. But then you get guys like Gesicki, like, probably outperformed him this year, or pretty damn close. Like, guys like that where you literally could have invested pennies compared to what you would have paid for a Dallas Goedert. It's just Cole Kmet, guys like that where you were like, oh yeah, these guys should be pretty good. Jake Ferguson, and then they just really don't amount to anything.
Yep. I mean, you have Ingram, you have Njoku, like the ranges of guys. Like, I would never expect Freiermuth. Yeah. Like, I never would have expected Njoku to do what he did in the offense that he found himself in, but lo and behold, here we are. So, I think one of the main things that I'm taking out of this season, and I think I say it every year, is like, I don't want to project I want to draft like I'm right. I want to play like I'm going to be right with the bets that I make. But I don't want to get so far over my skis that I'm like, this is exactly what's going to happen when the season starts. Because no matter how much we think we know and how much we've researched and we think we have a vibe, week one just turns everything on its head. And then we have to adjust. So, yeah. Like I said, Roy, this one didn't work out for you. Like I said, if that was any other tight end in that range, you probably feel different, even if that's the 212, right?
I mean, Trey McBride and Kincaid were going right around. Oh. If that's Trey McBride, you're like, oh,
smash.
Yeah. Like, I'm good with that. I mean, to that point, you just chose the wrong one, man. Process, but again, I get it.
Yep. Cool. All right, let's end with our boy Perk Daddy here.
I think I saw this one at a glance earlier, and man.
Yeah. So because I don't think we got the settings, but of course your boy Ty sleuthed out and went ahead and found the league here. So it is a 12-team start 11, 3 flex, super flex, PPR, 6-point touchdown, pretty vanilla otherwise. 2.0, yeah. So 2.0 tight end premium. Yeah, so pretty like standard-ish league. So this was July 14th, 2024. Perk Daddy traded away Baker Mayfield, Christian Watson, Brocktavius Bowers, Ladarius McConkey, old Burton and Kamani Vidal. But he got back Trey Lance, Luke Musgrave, Caleb Williams, and Blake Corum. So let's break this down. So one, looking back on this, clearly Baker, Bowers, McConkey, those three alone, they probably won some teams some ships, right?
Easily. Easily.
Think about how much war you capture between those three guys.
Yeah.
Because you're probably starting all three of those guys every week too. So that's just the crappy part off the top. But going back to July 14th, we're in the offseason. You're thinking, Baker, what's Baker going to be? He's getting a little older. Brock Bowers, will the hype really meet it? Okay, whatever.
Michael Mayer's there. Who's the quarterback? You just don't know.
Yeah. McConkey, he's small. People like him, but he's pretty small. I don't know what he's going to do in that run-first offense. Burton and Vidal, okay, some hopium. Christian Watson, when he plays, he's good. It's just he's injured all the time, and now he's not going to be on the field for a hot minute. So, all the best to Christian Watson. You got back that Trey Lance. I'm trying to think. That wasn't the Trey Lance could be started in San Francisco offseason. That was the Trey Lance as Dak's backup possibly offseason.
That
right?
was no. Yeah, yes. But that was Trey Lance is forcing Dak Prescott into a contract. Right. And if he's not, then Trey Lance is the next guy up. That's right. That Trey Lance that we were talking about.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Trey Lance is going to put Dak and Jerry's feet to the fire. He's going to say, pay me, man. Okay. Luke Musgrave was supposed to be the tight end one in Green Bay. Yeah. Tucker Kraft had other thoughts. Blake Corum, we thought he was going to kick Kyron to the curb or at least take over some more opportunity as the year went on. And then we got Caleb, who, I had high expectations for Caleb for sure. He was going to one of the best, set up spots for a rookie. 3 wide receivers, including an Odunze, a Komet, a decent defense. Should have been a switch. Yeah. Should have been a good spot for him, but he's a rookie. Maybe our expectations bring him down. They probably should have had some more realistic expectations for Caleb year one. So now looking back on this game, what's the lesson? Because no one probably predicted the Baker season that he had. No one saw.
No, yeah.
Jay Rich saw Lad McConkey leading the offense and receptions, but
Well, to be fair, I mean, there was Quentin Johnston and
Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer. Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
Yeah.
come on now.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be Josh Palmer. I was on the Josh Palmer underdog train, so I was wrong on that. But yeah, but so it's like, what's the takeaway here?
Dude, I mean, this is hard because I kind of feel like it's something similar in a way to what we just kind of talked through about Roy G. Like, process wise, I mean, dude, everybody, Caleb Williams looks like Mahomes out there. Like, oh, all this. I mean, and I'm not writing him off. Like, I actually really like Caleb Williams, and I think he's still going to be a very good quarterback in the NFL. But just for the sake of what you were mentioning earlier, like, highly touted guys, like, these expectations that we put on them, man, is just astronomical. And so the problem is that he finished quarterback 16, and it's actually not bad, quarterback 16. But if you're paying a QB, I don't even know what he was, QB 10 price, maybe even a little higher.
Probably higher, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere around there, then of course you're going to be disappointed in that. Of course you're going to be disappointed in, the production. And I think Luke Musgrave, we had hopes. We had some hopes that he could be the tight end one there. I think the lesson here, man, is again, try not to put too much faith into somebody who's never played an NFL snap. I mean, at the end of the day, like, we didn't know with Baker. I really do think this one was kind of just an unfortunate series of events, pretty much. Because you're right, like, nobody expected Bowers or Ladd to really be what they are.
Yeah. I think this is probably also carrying rookie draft values from April and May into June, July, August, September, October, because the black and blue 73 used the 101 on Caleb and probably wasn't going to move Caleb for less than the 101 price. Bowers probably went between 106, 104, 108, somewhere in that middle range. McConkey, maybe he snuck into the late first or he was an early second. Baker, and even Baker, Goff, like a bunch of the quarterbacks in that range, you wanted a first, but you probably couldn't get a first for them on the market.
Yeah.
And then you got Watson, Burton, Vidal, whatever. So it feels like this is I am paying for Caleb, therefore I am sending the 101 price for him. But the thing about the 101 price is the 101 is a pick. Caleb's a player. And I want to bet on Caleb. I like Caleb. I still want Caleb in Dynasty. And I'm on your side there too, Gabe. Like, I think he's still going to be a good quarterback. I think the intangibles are there. Like, he showed well when he could. He just looked like a frustrated rookie who was getting beat up. So, I mean, it looked like a frustrating situation for everyone out there.
He led the league in sacks too, or like getting sacked. I mean, it was just not good.
Yeah. So like I'm assuming he will grow, he will learn, he will get rid of the ball quicker, he will adjust his protections, he will learn to play quarterback in the NFL because college systems are not preparing these players and developing these players like they have been in the past. So, we'll see what happens with Caleb. This trade could, I'll say, it still could turn out if Caleb props himself up into like the JD5 range of quarterback, but I was
gonna say, you insert JD5 right there. You're still taking the Baker Mayfield Bowers.
Yeah, I am. Which should tell you something, right? Like well, I think it was just we were so wrong on Baker and Bowers in the deal that it's probably hard to.
I'm going back, man, and I'm standing on this right now. Just don't make trades in July. July again.
There you go.
It's July, man. It's just the month to not make trades.
So if there's anything you're gonna take away from this show, July, take it off. Chill out.
Enjoy the summer, guys. Enjoy the summer. Do not make fantasy football trades in July. That's the key takeaway here.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Gabe, this was fun. I know we had a pretty successful 2024. I was going to bring up at the start of the show, but we just got into it. So I wanted to ask your teams, like, how did your teams fare this year? Like, did you have a certain number of teams that got to the finals, or like, how do you rate your season on a whole?
Man, I think this season was a little tough. I want to say 3 championships. I won 1 of the 3, and then I think I made like 6 semifinals. And unfortunately, in the semis, like Jalen Hurts concussion killed me, I think, in like 2 or 3 leagues. And so this season was definitely a special one, man. Just a lot of injuries, a lot of things that you really feel like you had to overcome, maybe more than usual. I feel like we say that all the time, though, but it really felt that way. A lot of the guys that you depend on week to week were sometimes in and out, and yeah, I think it was overall a very. I learned a lot this season. Let's keep it that way. I learned a lot this season, and it wasn't as successful as past seasons for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't have that HVV check hitting the account. So,
yeah, I did. Hey, but I made it to the semis.
You did. That was awesome.
The semis. But yeah, same thing. You got knocked out, man.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it makes a pretty successful season. But like you said, it was. I'll say a strange year, but again, we say it every year, right? Like just clip this and put it halfway through the season where we're like, man, are there more injuries this year, or is it just us, right? Yep. So, yeah. So, I mean, I had from a number standpoint, I was in 25 leagues, including seasonal leagues. I made it to the playoffs in 15 of those. Nice. I made it to the finals in 6 of those, and I won 4 of those. One of those teams was a co-owned team with my wife, which was just good for the relationship, good for the brand.
There you go.
Yeah, let's go. If you care about if financials the way that you rank fantasy, I basically made my money and doubled it. So as long as I'm paying for my hobby, that's all I care about, and I'm here to have fun, make some trades, and be creative. So 2024. You were nice, you were fun, you were frustrating, you were complicated, but we got through it, and we got some pretty sweet players as a result. So I'm looking forward to 2025. I know Gabe is, and we're here to review your trades all off season. So let us know in the comments. What do you think? What do you want to see? We're open to some pretty creative shows here now that we're not tied to the week over week grind of the season. So if you want to see a certain show, if you want to go over something, let us know. If you want your roster reviewed, a couple ways. 1, sign up for the DD Fantasy Football Discord and website. You can use code TRADES, get the all conference and Discord tier, get 50% off the door, code TRADES. Or get into the GOAT tier, you get access to the War Tool, Trinity Tracker, everything we got going on over at DD. Use code TRADEGOAT. You get 50% off the GOAT tier. And like we said, if you sign up for one of those, shoot us a DM, give us a screen grab of you paying that. We'll review your roster for you on the arm just for signing up. If you want more, if you have a second team you want reviewed too, that's cool, because we're going to be doing some semi-frequent roster reviews in the Discord live on stages. We'll record it too even, so you can listen back. Again, we're doing the all gas trade show Dynasty League. Name TBD, Gabe, but we'll get there. So if you're interested in that, get into the Discord. We'll get that going here shortly. Probably once we're through the startup that we're doing right now, Gabe.
True degenerates, man. True degenerates.
Just absolute.
The season ended a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and we're already here grinding away again. Why did we do this to ourselves,
just
man?
Lunatic behavior, Gabe. I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. Welcome to the new channel. We're happy to be here. Let me hit that music. Gabe, I'm just so excited to get back to trading, get back to our roots, and just have fun in this offseason and the non-point scoring season. Build your teams, be creative, take your time, let the process build. Get back to the process of it all. Don't be just shooting at the hip trying to fill your flexes, right? Like we're not trying to fill our roster, make our lineup look perfect in February. We are not trading in July. We're practicing patience, and we're going to get through it. So, Gabe, thanks for joining me. Thank you for watching, and we out of this thing. Peace.